Hello everybody and welcome back to Benjamin Magnus Plays Kerbal Space Program. In this episode I'm going to be mounting a mission to recover this stranded vessel that I have over here on Minmus. In the last episode I accidentally killed Jebediah Kerman after he had landed on Minmus here. So what I'm going to try to do is build a spacecraft that I can land next to it and transfer a crew member over to so I can fly this one back. And there's two ways I've thought about doing this, and that's one, to have a standard command pod with a probe core on it, so that after the guy gets out, that the probe core can control the rescue craft back and I can recover it. The second option being that I build a spacecraft with room for multiple Kerbal knots, and that one can transfer over, and then they both fly their individual spacecrafts back. And right now I'm leaning towards the probe core with the single command pod because it'll be lighter and cheaper. So I'm going to go over to the vehicle construction area, and I will rejoin you in a few minutes. And here we are on the launch pad. Now this craft is pretty small and light. I mean, just from basically here up is what I'm going to be using to land. So there's not a lot of weight to lift, so I'm hoping that I'm going to be perfectly fine in terms of fuel consumption, but we'll see in a bit. Hopefully it's stable and everything. Looks pretty stable, so I'm going to cut this, and I will rejoin you in a minute when we are in orbit and ready to continue. Made it into orbit very easily with a little bit of fuel left in these tanks, which I'm pretty happy with. I'll probably be able to use these tanks to orient my orbital plane to match Minmus's, and they'll probably run out of fuel about then. But I'm going to put out my solar panels right now because sometimes I forget to do that and I end up running out of juice, but I don't think that'll be a problem. I do have a battery in here. But better safe than sorry, they're perfectly safe where they are. So let's take a look at our map, and we're going, not the moon, we're going to look for Minmus, and we just need to plot a course to align our orbital planes, which is really easy. Alright, burn's complete, and I want to show you something really quick because you'll probably notice eventually my spacecraft is slightly different. There is an RCS tank and some RCS thrusters. I realized when I was about to do that maneuver that I could barely move my spacecraft, so I just reverted back to the vehicle assembly, added in a tank and a couple thrusters, and that was that. Didn't add that much weight, so I'm basically in the same spot I was before. So all is well still, so we're going to get rid of that. We don't need it anymore. Our orbital plane is aligned with Minmus's, so the next step is just going to be to add in a maneuver and try to get ourselves, actually try to line it up like this, try to get ourselves a nice, easy Minmus encounter. I've gotten better at this, so it shouldn't be too terribly difficult. Let's just try to move it this way a little bit. There we go. That's pretty good. A little bit, maybe a little bit less speed. The less fuel we burn in this maneuver, the better. And there we go. That's a pretty good one. Maybe even cut the speed out a little bit more. Oh, there it is. That's pretty good right there. I'm going to go with that one. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this recording again, and I will rejoin you when I'm in the Minmus encounter and we're ready to stage our rescue. Alright, here we are around Minmus. Now we're at a very stable orbit. We're going pretty slowly. It's about 12,000 meters above the surface. And we actually do have, it does go across the same body, but I would like to be able to get closer to our craft here. So what I'm going to do is try to, I think what I need to do is set up a maneuver here and go like this. Yeah, there we go. Now what we're going to try to do is align it so it gets as close to this guy as I can get him, which is going to be about there, I think. That looks good to me. Maybe a little bit lower. Whoop! Alright, I completely lost it there. Hang on a second, I got to do that again. Alright, like, no, too much, so down, down, down. And there. Sometimes these things are a little finicky. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, we're going to get to... Okay, here is the indicator down here, so let's go this way. We got our RCS on, so this is easy. Oh! Overshot. Here we go. Okay, turn that off, turn that on, and let's give it a little time nudge here. We'll try to align that, and then as soon as we're done aligning it, we should be ready to attempt a landing. And it looks like there's some sunlight there, so we should be okay. We'll have our shadow to work with, but this is not as difficult as landing on the moon because of the lower gravity, so I don't think I'll have a problem. It should be okay. Should be okay. Famous last words. Should be fine. Alright, so let's give this a little burn here. Don't need much, just a little tap. And we'll align it like this. There we go. Now we're going to get rid of that. And what I need to do is wait till I'm over here, and then we'll do a retrograde burn and try to plop a landing in about the same spot. Let's actually see if maybe we could set up a maneuver to try it. Actually, there we go. That should do the trick. Should be pretty easy, actually. Let's take a look at our fuel consumption, because we are going to need to get more than we even needed. We're going to need to get rid of this tank to land safely, because we need access to the landing struts here, but we should be perfectly fine. I like the way this is working out. So what I'm going to do is use this fuel tank for the last burn to get us into a landing, a good landing pattern here, and then we'll jettison it, and we'll use the tiny little engine and the medium-sized fuel tank. It's not a tiny fuel tank; it's a medium fuel tank to bring us down. So let's turn our RCS on. You never want your RCS and your SAS on at the same time, because they'll just interfere with each other. So we'll use it to get over here, and then turn our SAS back on, and we're almost where we need to be. I usually don't use maneuvers to plot landings, but this time I think I'm going to, because actually, look at that, it changed a little. Let's move it this way. Using the RCS did change my speed a little bit, so that's what that was right there. That was the RCS interfering. Alright, we're almost to where we need to be. We're not going to use time compression anymore on this. And here we go. Let's start this. Just need a little tap of it. Don't need a lot, because of the low gravity and the low speed here. We don't need a lot of thrust, just a little bit. So a little tap should do the trick. And we're gonna. That's actually pretty darn close. Maybe a couple kilometers off. Not much though. So let's go with that. There we go. Well, let's get rid of this maneuver. Let's switch over to our staging. And here we go. So let's get rid of this. We don't need the back half now. Let's jettison. No, I don't want to do that. Let's just use the regular. Let's just do it like this. Okay, there we go. So that guy did his job. We don't need him anymore. So let's put our gear down. Perfect. And we'll just do our standard landing thing. Gonna get that's actually gonna put me maybe 5 kilometers away, maybe closer if I can finagle it correctly. But you know, walking distance away. This has been interesting. I've never done this before, so this has been an interesting endeavor for me. So let's use a little bit of thrust here. We're gonna try to put them down. Oh, looks like it's probably gonna be less than 5 kilometers. I just gotta be really careful that I don't, like, you know, send my Kerbal knot flying at this spacecraft at like 100 meters per second and splatter him all over it. Alright, we're going very slowly now, so I'm just gonna, because we're drifting so slowly now, I'm just gonna speed this up until we're very close to the surface. Alright, we're getting very close now. We're approaching a little quicker than I would like, so just a little more thrust here. Let's let it drift down. We got our shadow over here. Very nice sunlight. Sun's in the perfect spot for this because it gives us a nice angle, so it's easy to judge our distance from the ground here. Should be a pretty smooth landing. I don't foresee any problems. Although, like I said, whenever I say things like that, I generally end up dying. I don't know if you've watched my Alien Isolation series at all. There's one episode where I got really overconfident, and I was talking about how overconfident I was, and within seconds of me saying how overconfident I was, the alien made an appearance, and I screamed like a little bitch. Alright, here we are. We are landed on the surface, and look at that. I managed to put myself about 1,100 meters away from our spacecraft here. That is perfect. Really happy with the way that worked out. Oh, can I take a crew report? I took a crew report on the way down. Figured might as well get as much science out of this as we can. Bill Kerman is here to rescue, to save the day. This guy should be... Oh, come on, come on. Oop, not graceful at all. This guy right here should be perfectly safe where he is. He has photovoltaics and a battery, so there shouldn't be any problems. What I am going to do, though, is take an EVA report. I'm going to take another surface sample here, keep that data, and I'm going to restore it, because this one's already full, I'm pretty sure. So we're going to come over here, and we'll store it in this one for recovery when I bring this thing back. Get a little bit of extra science out of this, might as well. So let's board it, and that stuff was saved inside here, so we're going to head back out, take another EVA. And we're going to head over towards our spacecraft now. This one's going to be left there. It'll keep its charge, should at least. This is exactly how I ended up killing myself last time by just flying too fast, but I'm going to try to retard my speed a little bit this time before I go flying into this spacecraft at like... I'm not going 100 meters per second, but... Let's go up a little and slow down a little. Let's see if we... Yeah, that should be fine. Oh, and just gonna tumble and flop across the terrain here. Alright, please return to the surface. Please return to the surface. Here we go. Now, I'm just going to... I'm going to run over, and we'll make this quick. I'm going to try to run over, at least. Oh god, that's not working out as well as I had planned. Okay, okay. I'm not very good at this low gravity thing. I can do normal gravity, I can do zero gravity, I'm bad at low gravity. And we're here! We have made it. This worked out swimmingly. It worked out exactly as I had planned. Well, not necessarily exactly. Nothing ever goes exactly as I had planned, but it worked out really well. We have our Minmus 1 spacecraft here with all of its wonderful science, and we have our little rescue probe over there. I should be able to take another EVA report and another surface sample. I think that should work. That should be perfectly fine, and we'll board this spacecraft right like this. Oh, is the hatch on this side or the other side? Where's the hatch? Oh, here's the hatch right here. Had to do a little maneuvering there. I'm getting better at controlling these guys. I was really bad at it when I first started this game. Alright, experiments you have collected cannot be stored in this command pod. Are you sure you want to? Okay, we'll dump those experiments. I thought I already had them in there, but I figured I'd better be safe than sorry. And here we are inside our Minmus 1 spacecraft. I wish there was like a little Jebediah grave over here. That would be... Does that make me morbid? That would be a little bit funny. So let's make an attempt to get this thing back to Kerbin, and then what we'll do is we'll just revert over to this thing, and we'll fly that back as well. Alright, here is the report for that mission, and it could have been better. I realized as I was coming in for a landing, I messed up pretty good, and I'll explain that to you in just a minute here. But we did end up with a good, healthy amount of science from that. We recovered 60% of the value of our spacecraft, and it keeps saying 0 reputation here, but the bar keeps going up, and I'm wondering if that's a little bug or a glitch or something, because it never says anything right here of plus reputation, but the bar does go up. Alright, here we are back on Minmus with our little probe here, and while I'm going with this guy, I'm going to explain to you how I screwed up a little bit and cost myself a healthy amount of science with that last spacecraft. As I was coming in for a landing, I realized that I had just one little tiny parachute for that whole apparatus with the big old booster engines on each side and everything. It just was way too much weight for that parachute, and I was really nervous that there was a pretty heavy potential of me destroying the entire spacecraft when I got back down to... when I got into the atmosphere by the weight ripping the parachute off and the whole thing coming crashing down to the ground. So what I decided to do was jettison the pods on the outside, which meant getting rid of my goo containers. The goo containers were on the external fuel tanks there, so they went crashing down to the ground and they were destroyed. Which, you know, not the end of the world. I lost the goo containers, but I still had the Science Juniors, so all was well in that. And then what happened was I landed on a pretty steep slope, which was rather unfortunate, because what happened was it landed perfectly smoothly and then very, very, very slowly started tipping over. And when it tipped over all the way, the force of it falling over on its side destroyed one of my Science Juniors. So I lost probably half my science in that. And one more thing I also did was I completely forgot to use the goo container from while I was in space. So I still have this one to do, but I'll do this one some other time. And right now I'm just going to try to return this guy. He does have some scientific value in him to Kerbin, which should be pretty easy. All I need to do is burn prograde here. Not prograde here. If I do it here, I think it'll probably just jettison me off into space. So let's add in a maneuver, see if we can do it over this. Yeah, just like this. Alright, there we go. That'll get me into space around Kerbin. A really high orbit, but I'll just degrade it to the point where everything's going to be okay, where I re-enter the atmosphere and I can recover this guy. And we'll see how much science we got from this. And here we are, re-entering Kerbin's atmosphere perfectly safely. Very easy to get back, even have some fuel left over. And that is going to end as a successful mission. There were some bumps in that I messed up some of the science, some of the configuration on the Minmus 1 ship, and I ended up losing some science because of it. It was just some short-sightedness on my own part. Not a big deal. I still ended up with almost 1,000 science to use after that mission ended, and we'll see in a minute how much I'm going to get once this mission ends. Hopefully a lot. And I just got to remember to make sure I have large enough / enough parachutes, especially when I have, you know, I want to recover the entire thing. A big old parachute's going to be important for that. And I'm really hoping that these 2 little parachutes should be perfectly fine on this guy. Even if it's not, even if it's going down too fast, I can use the fuel left in my tank here to kind of slow my course a little bit. Now let's put the parachutes out, try to keep it straight up and down. Ooh, there it goes. Perfect. I think 6.5 is too much for this engine to handle on impact, so when it gets right next to the surface, I'm going to try to slow it down to less than 4. I'm pretty sure 6.5 would destroy this. We're very close, getting closer, getting closer. We're just slowly drifting down. La 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 la. Let's actually burn a little bit here. Try to get it down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Less than 4 is what I want. And we're still going down 20 meters. That should be perfectly safe. That should be good right there, yeah. There we go. Now let's... Alright, stop moving so I can recover. There we go. Recover the vessel. Recover the vessel. There we go. Alright, let's take a look at this. We got 64 science out of it. You know, nothing to, you know, shake a finger at. We recovered 77.5% of the value of this spacecraft. And that was that. Look at that, 992 science. That was well worth it. We got a bunch of money from exploring Minmus too. So next episode, I'll decide what I'm going to go for next. Probably not that. Maybe some of this cool nuclear stuff, or maybe go into the space plane stuff, or I could grab this and maybe start building myself a space station. Anyway, I'll figure that out next episode. If you've enjoyed this, just drop me a like, leave me a comment right down below. If you're interested in more Benjamin Magnus Plays Kerbal Space Program, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.